Hello, mortals. What if I told you the entire Norse cosmos was born from a single tree? A tree so vast its roots reach the underworld, its trunk anchors our world, and its branches touch the realm of the gods. It is here in this realm where we find the beginning of the story of creation. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we'll uncover the story of Yggdrasil, the World Tree, its birth, its role in Norse mythology, and why it's considered the backbone of existence itself. So grab your helmet, shield, and sword. And if you have any mead left over from last night's celebration, bring that too, because we're about to embark on an adventure through the realms of myth to explore one of the most important symbols in Norse culture, the World Tree. We'll see you after a quick word from our sponsor. But for now, let's get back to the World Tree. In the very beginning, before time had begun, there existed only Ginnungagap, a vast and unending chasm of nothingness. The void was silent and still until one day a spark ignited within it. From this spark, the realm of Muspelheim was born. This was the land of fire, where the first giants made their home. These beings were made entirely of flame and lived in a place where the sun and moon had not yet shone. On the opposite side of Ginnungagap stood Niflheim, the realm of ice, where mist and fog swirled around jagged mountains and frozen rivers flowed. Here in this desolate landscape lived the first frost giants, born of ice and rock, beings as cold and unyielding as the glaciers that stretched across the land. For a time, these two realms remained isolated, separated by the great void. But soon the winds began to stir. They carried with them the scent of ice from Niflheim and the heat of Muspelheim, and thus the first drops of water fell from the sky. As these drops touched the ground, they melted into rivers that flowed across the land, nurturing life and growth wherever they went. From the union of fire and ice, a third realm was born. This realm was called Jotunheim. Here, the first gods and giants lived in relative harmony. In fact, some myths tell of how the gods lived among the giants in the early days, learning their skills and knowledge before they established their own home in Asgard. But this peace would not last forever. Soon, conflict arose between the gods and the giants. The gods, led by Odin, traveled to the realm of the giants to retrieve a precious treasure known as the Yggdrasil. Some sources say it was a magical goat that provided endless supplies of mead, while others claim it was a well of wisdom and power. Whatever its nature, the treasure was coveted by the gods, and they would stop at nothing to obtain it. The giants, however, were fiercely protective of their homeland and refused to part with their treasure. Thus, war broke out between the two races, a battle that raged for many years, causing great destruction and loss of life. As the war dragged on, Odin grew weary of the fighting. He sought a way to end the conflict and bring peace to the realms. Then he had a vision. He saw a mighty tree with roots that reached into the underworld and branches that soared into the heavens. This tree, Odin realized, was the key to ending the war and bringing order to the cosmos. Odin called upon his brothers, Vili and Ve, and together they set to work. They gathered the strongest giants and the bravest gods and instructed them to plant the seeds of Yggdrasil. As the tree began to grow, its roots delved deep into the earth, anchoring it firmly in place. Its trunk grew wide and strong, forming the center of the cosmos, and its branches reached towards the heavens, connecting the realms of the gods and mortals. But Odin knew that Yggdrasil needed more than just roots and branches. He called upon the dwarves, skilled craftsmen of the hidden folk, and asked them to create ornaments to adorn the tree. The dwarves created intricate carvings of animals, plants, and mythical creatures, each one a masterpiece of craftsmanship. The dwarves placed these carvings along the branches and roots of Yggdrasil, transforming it into a thing of beauty and wonder. And so the World Tree became the center of the Norse cosmos, connecting the 9 realms and serving as a reminder of the balance between order and chaos. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is the structure of this World Tree? Well, let's start with the roots. The 3 roots of Yggdrasil are said to have reached into different realms of the underworld. One root reached into the realm of Asgard, the home of the gods, and drew forth wisdom and power. Another root delved into the realm of Midgard, the home of mortals, and drew forth courage and strength. And the third root extended into the realm of Hell, the underworld, and drew forth knowledge and magic. These 3 roots formed the foundation of the World Tree, anchoring it firmly in place and providing it with immense power. But the roots were not the only important part of Yggdrasil. Its branches were also significant, reaching into the realms of the gods, of men, and of giants. As we mentioned earlier, some sources say the World Tree had 9 roots, each one corresponding to one of the 9 realms of Norse mythology. This means that every branch could theoretically stretch into any of these realms, allowing beings from different worlds to travel to others with ease. According to the Edda, Snorri Sturluson, Yggdrasil had 4 main branches. The first branch reached into Asgard, where the gods held their feasts and made their homes. It was here that the gods used Yggdrasil's power to gain wisdom and strength. The second branch extended into Vanaheim, the realm of the Vanir gods. It was said that Yggdrasil's magic was particularly potent here, granting those who tapped into it great fertility and abundance. The third branch reached into Alfheim, the realm of the Light Elves. Those who stood beneath this branch were said to be bathed in the elves' magic, which granted them great beauty and grace. The fourth branch extended into the underworld, where the dead were sent after they died. It was said that Yggdrasil's magic was strongest here, allowing those who tapped into it to commune with the dead and even peer into the future. Of course, we can't talk about the World Tree without mentioning some of the most famous beings that lived on it. Perhaps the most fearsome of these creatures was Nidhogr, a dragon that gnawed on the roots of Yggdrasil. Nidhogr represented chaos and destruction, and it was said that its bites could shake the very foundations of the cosmos. To counterbalance Nidhoggr's destructive power, Odin hung the first runes from the branches of Yggdrasil, which symbolized wisdom and order. Another famous resident of Yggdrasil was Ratatoskr, a squirrel that scurried up and down the tree, carrying insults and messages between the eagle and the snake. Some say Ratatoskr was a trickster, while others saw it as a messenger of the gods. But perhaps the most iconic inhabitants of Yggdrasil were the great eagle and the 4 stags that grazed on its leaves. The eagle represented Odin, the god of wisdom, and it was said to have seen all of the past, present, and future. The 4 stags represented the 4 directions, and they were said to pull Odin's chariot as he traveled around the cosmos. Aside from being the home to many creatures, Yggdrasil also served as a meeting place for the gods. It was here that they discussed the affairs of men and made plans for the future. One of the most important places on Yggdrasil was the Well of Urd, located at the root of the tree in Asgard. It was here that the Norns, the 3 goddesses of fate, met to weave the threads of destiny. Their loom was said to be so powerful that it could influence the fate of entire realms. In addition to its religious significance, Yggdrasil also had a cosmic function. It was said to be the axis mundi, the center of the universe, connecting the realms of the gods, of men, and of giants. It was also believed that Yggdrasil was responsible for keeping the cosmos in balance, preventing chaos from consuming the realms. Finally, let's not forget the symbolic meaning of the World Tree. Yggdrasil was seen as a representation of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Its roots reached into the underworld, reminding the living that they too would one day die and join the ancestors. At the same time, its branches reached into the heavens, offering hope for a better future. As we've seen, the World Tree was an incredibly important symbol in Norse mythology. It was the center of the cosmos, connecting the realms of the gods and mortals and keeping the universe in balance. Even today, its branches reach out to us, reminding us of our connection to the natural world and the cyclical nature of life. So, the next time you see a tree, take a moment to appreciate its beauty and remember the ancient stories that have survived for centuries. Tales of a time when the gods and giants walked the earth, and the World Tree was the center of it all. If you've made it this far, you're clearly a fan of Norse mythology. Don't forget to hit the like button below if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Birth of. And until next time, remember, the World Tree is not just a tree. It is the eternal reminder that all things are connected.